So, I've got a top 5 list for Battlefield 2042 launch. And as I'm making this video, I'm still in early access. We're a few days away from the rest of you with the standard edition getting boots on the ground in Battlefield 2042. And that being said, the game has had a very rough launch. There's a lot of frustrations, and the hopes of this video is to ease those by giving you guys some tips, advice, and obviously counters to some of the things that might be tilting you. So, let's begin with number 1. The C5 is better than the recoilless. Honestly, a paper ball is better than the recoilless at this point. This thing needs a dramatic buff. Probably a couple different ways, because as it stands, it is very weak against armor. And armor players know it. They don't fear RPGs anymore, and every part of us, instinctively, as infantry players go, ooh, RPGs equal dead tanks. Not so much in this game. They are definitely underwhelming. They have an extremely slow reload and just too many drawbacks to justify their use. Do not fall into the habit of using a recoilless. Instead, take advantage of that overconfidence from the vehicles that know that the recoilless doesn't do any damage, and what they do is they tend to overextend and push aggressively. I know you've seen the uptick in people trying to roadkill things, right? And they don't even bother shooting sometimes. They just know that they're not a threat, and they're running people over a lot more than they ever have before, which means they are closer to you. And what is good for a tank that is close to you? C4 or C5. That's going to be a hard habit to break. I know it's C5, but C4 or C69, that's all I'm going to accept. Tip number 2, DMRs and SMGs are the meta. I will have an updated video in the future for tips and guides for you guys when we start getting some of these patches rolled out, but please stick to the meta or you are going to just add to the frustrations and the already long list of things that are going wrong with 2042. That being said, LMGs and snipers are still very much meta, but they are more high risk, high reward, and they aren't too much of a handicap. But DMRs, they have 2-shot options anywhere on the body. SMGs are what ARs should be, and I know a lot of people instinctively are going to go for ARs because they have always been dominant in other Battlefield titles, but I am urging you to stay away from ARs because of their issues with spread and recoil, and just stick to literally any of the SMGs or the DMRs, and you will find a lot more success and positivity with that. Number 3 on the list, we have the RAU combined with the Stingers, the AA missiles. Now, helicopters pretty much just go unchecked in the game. They do. And if it wasn't for RAU, they would probably be able to comfortably and really just do whatever the hell they want. And we've known this problem since the beta. But with RAU, we have a counter now. He is a specialist that allows you to hack enemy vehicles. Doing so prohibits them from activating flares, therefore leaving them vulnerable. And then all you need to do after you hack one of them is swap over to your Stingers, aka the AA missiles, and shoot them down. And it's actually a very long hack too. It takes a little while to lock on. It's not easy to do, but once you do it, you pretty much have them dead to rights unless they can really scurry out of the range of it in time, which does happen. So if you were finding yourself in a server trapped by very competent and skillful helicopter farmers, RAU and Stingers are your solution. That is the way to take them out and protect yourself and your squad. And until recoillesses are buffed, continue to do this. Number 4 on the list, use the vehicles in the drop-in menu. I know it's a new mechanic, it's different for us, but I spawn in literally every game that I don't spawn in on a vehicle. When a game starts, I first thing summon a ranger. I want my little robo-dog to go with me. I now have an advantage, another distraction, another guns, another pair of eyes on the targets, and that is going to help me secure the first objective. That is absolutely valuable, and not enough people summon something right off the bat. They just walk from spawn to the objective and until they get to the middle of the map where the real heat is. And these are the same people that are complaining the maps are too big, and I'm not going to disagree with that. But almost every time I capture an objective in Conquest, I look at my map and there's like 3 just random LATVs there sitting, or some form of vehicle that I could grab and drive to the next one. But instead, so many of us are stubborn in our ways, we just keep walking everywhere. So you could summon vehicles at almost any given time to get from point A to B, or, you know, any of the ones that are just sitting around the objectives that have nobody in it, empty from both the friendly and enemy team. And we just haven't learned to adopt this yet. Please, the sooner you start cycling this into your gameplay, the more action you will find, the more success you will find, and that's honestly going to be a huge difference in your playstyle. So start practicing this. Number 5 on the list, another thing that I recommend you should practice, and this is to learn to swap. I am guilty of this but I'm getting better at it. I am that kind of guy that picks a specialist, picks a gun, and I'm just going to use it the whole game. But because these maps are so large to scale, each major objective area is almost a different mini map, if you will. What I mean by this is B could just be like an indoor setting or a collection of small buildings, close quarters, if you will. But if I was to spawn in on the C objective, that could be an open area, like a desert, not much cover. So if I was spawning on B, wouldn't it make sense to take somebody like Pike in? But in C, in an open area, she would be virtually useless. So what you need to do is adopt the idea of changing your loadout on the fly. Even if that means life to life, switch your specialist out based on where you're going to go take your fight. And even in Breakthrough, when the map evolves, so does the circumstances. Give yourself the best tools for the fight that you're about to go in. Don't just be stubborn and stick to one character and one gun. Don't be afraid to swap over to a DMR if you're going into an open area. Do not be afraid to put on a long-range scope. Even with the new Plus system at your disposal, you can swap that in the game on the fly, and not enough people utilize this. And those that do learn to get good with these things are going to separate themselves from the average player. So these are tools that are there for you to use. Don't neglect them. Don't let them waste. Get yourself set up for the best chance to win those gunfights and the game. Do not be afraid to swap as you play. And that, ladies and gentlemen, are my top 5 things. Again, those last 2 were kind of like new mechanics, so they're going to take some adjusting to and just a habit to build. But the first 3 are about balance and what is viable right now, and those will eventually change as balance patches come through. I'll keep you updated with future videos, so be sure to subscribe and tick that bell so you don't miss any of the future videos, and leave a like if you can. It really helps the channel grow and helps with the YouTube algorithm. So thanks for all your love, your support. Thanks for sharing part of your day, and I'll catch you with another one soon.